Hi and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther. It's Thursday, June 1st, 2023. I'm recording this officially around 8:30, though I finished the show about an hour or so ago. And it's funny because timing is everything. I happened to notice something very important pop up on YouTube on a fellow Earth and Sky Watcher channel. And I thought, wow, boy, is it good I'm coming in after that one because I can literally clear the air with this show that I've been preparing most of the day. So this show is 195 called Huge, Red, Here, and It's Okay. Actually, all of the show this time around is just taking stills from some video footage coming from the amazing Fife Weather YouTube channel. They also have a website. I'll show that in a minute on the next slide. Now, a very kind viewer out there, you know who you are, brought my attention to this channel, Fife Weather, 3+ years ago, maybe 3.5. Do let me know, write me an email, my contact information's below if you want credit for that, my kind viewer out there. Otherwise, I don't want to presume and give your name. But anyway, because of that great tip, I've checked them out. Since then, I've been watching them daily for all these years. Now, this is a momentous time for me to be putting this show out because I've kind of just been observing what they're posting, and I haven't really wanted to shine a light on it. Well, today is the day to shine the light on it. Why? Because they have multiple locations where they have their cameras pointed and do phenomenal time-lapse photography, and over UK, northern UK, over Scotland. I think all of them are over Scotland. And they are, very telling. They've been telling for years. So why is today different? Well, today, all of the locations that they feature are showing this red object, which I'm going to call a planetary body. Now, in this community of Earth and Sky Watching, and again, I don't know if you're new or returning to the channel, whatever the case, welcome, a big air hug to everybody. Real hug, not virtual one. Imagine being hugged and greeted. Appreciate your being here. You'll see this channel, like so many others, has been so heavily shadow banned. What you see is not, the reality of the situation, of the views or the subs or any of that nonsense. However, I do appreciate you being here. I hope, if you landed here, there's a very good reason, because if you found it, it's really hard these days to even find my channel. But that's okay, because whoever's here, it's quality, not quantity, absolutely. And I'm happy you're here. So, getting back to this, what I've done is taken some stills of the video footage and enhanced it and analyzed them. And so when I say enhanced, it simply means I've upped or lowered the levels of, on the digital, file itself. So just I've upped or lowered levels of color saturation, brightness, what else, contrast, sometimes warmth, sometimes sharpness. When I work with this on a cell phone, it's a big note to all of you active Earth and Sky Watchers out there that are posting things. When you do some, enhancements on your phone, it might read things a little bit better than if you do it on a laptop or something. So just be checking across multiple devices, because you might see into things a little bit more on one device or the other. That became very apparent for me in show number 186 and also I think 191. I've listed in the lower right-hand corner here other shows of mine on my channel to go see, because these all directly relate to what I'm going to show you today, okay? And they are, yes, documenting a large planetary body that's extremely nearby in the Earth's neighborhood, let's just say. And it goes by many names. So I do include what I put what some people, look at or consider this planetary body. It's really a collection or grouping of many planetary bodies of different sizes. Anyway, there's all sorts of thoughts on it depending on which ancient texts you're looking at, which prophecies you're looking at. And so I am strictly sharing what my view is on all of this. You can take it or leave it. I'm sharing it. And of course, there's other opinions and other points of view and other feelings about it. This is mine. This is why it's my channel. And you see what I see. That's what I point out. And as a lot of you returning will know, I also invite you to see what you see. And if you feel like leaving a comment, great. If not, fine. Now, with all of this, I want this information to be shared wide, far and wide. And as a lot of you might know too, if you saw my show number 188, that was the one where the very next day I saw replay footage on the Masters tournament, which happened on Easter Sunday. contrary to what some people are putting out there. They have the wrong information. I walked by the television, and I'm familiar with the Masters in a golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia, and it happened on Easter Sunday. And again, I just saw a replay of it on an 80-inch screen. I was walking by the room. I was actually sitting in a room nearby, and I saw it all the way across. I'm like, holy crap, can it be that obvious, that it's on there? And again, with a huge screen, you really see it. So I walked over, and I asked a group of people watching if they didn't mind to turn all the lights off so there's no light sources. Took a picture, and, so I could see it clearly. Now, that is coming up in a slide coming up, but I just wanted to start off saying we're going to be seeing that too. So we're going to compare this footage that came out on Fife. It's momentous because all the cams are showing this body now. This body and collection of planetary bodies can no longer be hidden and veiled to the successful level which they have been thus far over decades and decades and decades of the atmosphere being sprayed, layered thick particulate, right? I'm not going to go into all of it. If you've seen my channel at all, you'll know I go over this in detail in other shows. So for right now, whatever's meant to come out of my mouth will, and whatever isn't, go look at my previous shows to see some more backstory, okay? That being said, again, if I had to do a couple of takes, so if I didn't say it already, a big, heartfelt thanks for being here. Welcome. A huge hug, real hug in your mind's eye, not a virtual hug. A warm family welcome here on this channel. Okay, so I do want to say thank you to Fife Weather again for all they share daily, meticulously posting every day. You're so appreciated and so helpful to advance the collective consciousness here for us to kind of figure out and piece together what's going on in our skies and to see beyond what's being hidden and veiled, okay, through a number of things, not just planes spraying chemical-filled trails, or what I also call camouflage trails, which could also be non-toxic, but equally damning in the sense that it's particulate that's so thick that, we can't see certain things in the sky. It also, veils the quote-unquote sun, which is absolutely an artificial sun at the moment. See my earlier shows and other Earth and Sky watching channels for that information if that's new to you. But also there are other things. There are cloaking craft, and they're producing further camouflage, like huge cloud masses. And by now, I've caught a ton of pipes. I've featured on other shows, other incredible channels to go look at to see technically what craft are doing that. It's not just advanced ET stuff. It's also military craft. And there's probably collaboration craft going on. Any number of possibilities. Probably a lot of players we can't even imagine when you look at the whole galaxy what could be going on. But I've featured that on other shows too. Look at the YouTube channel Industrial Surrealism. It's another great one for that type of information. So for today, though, we're going to be looking at this red planetary body or collection of bodies coming into the Earth's atmosphere, or neighborhood, I like to say. And so what I'm saying with emphasis is it's okay that it's here. We are meant to see it. I've covered this on the other show that I covered the Masters golf tournament analysis that I did on that scene, looking at the fourth hole. That really spread around quickly also in the social media because it was a major tournament. A lot of people did notice something was off, and a lot of people did know it was not a lens flare and it was not a quote-unquote cloud. Very funny. Even skeptical people was like, oh, that you can't have a round cloud, and you'll see what I mean coming up. All right, I know I'm laying down a lot of backstory, and I don't remember if I gave the shout out yet on this particular take, but I do want to credit a couple of pivotal channels at the very beginning of my doing all of this. I was given a clear divine message, June 2018, and again, pardon if I've repeated any of this, but WSO, Steve Olson, absolutely, wherever you are, Steve, right now, whatever you're doing, extra blessings to you. You came at a pivotal time when I started, and to see what you were documenting, and then even to question that there was a planetary body coming in. Also, Naughty Beaver and the Nostradamus Prophecies. Naughty's YouTube channel was taken down. Why? Because the guy nailed it on timing of these things coming into the Earth's neighborhood, and a lot of other things through his innate gifts and wisdoms and visions that he's connected into. So thank you, Naughty Beaver out there. All right, if you found this channel, you probably know who I'm talking about there. So I want to literally clear the air of something that was just posted a couple hours ago by another Earth and Sky Watching channel that was very misleading. I really hope it wasn't intentional, but I gotta think it might have been, because a lot of this is too obvious. We're not dealing with lens flares or reflections, and you're going to see why in this show, along with some of these others that I've posted previously. All right, so I'm going to get into it, and here we go. So, one more thing, yeah, we are doing this for educational purposes, so I'm fully crediting Fife Weather and appreciate them, and I'm going to show you their website in a moment. So this is an alternate cover slide. You know, I went with this one over here. I was toying with this one. I often do that. There's just so many captivating images of what's going on in our skies these days. It's kind of hard just to choose one. So here's another one, very telling of a red object. Now, I did mention, I put in the description box below what possibilities of the red objects. I put object. It's really objects could be coming into our neighborhood here. Personally, I think the red one is Wormwood Star, and the Red Kachina referred to in Red Kachina is from the Hopi Prophecy, and Wormwood Star, I know there's biblical reference. However, I do fully believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in a lot of things. However, the Bible has been so distorted and manipulated, you know, probably back in 300 AD. If not long before that. There is an original source of the Bible that was pure, and you know, I definitely got tampered with. That's all I'm going to say. So the Bible, take with a grain of salt, at least I do, maybe 10% truth in there. Yes, enough to kind of go on, enough truth to make you believe the whole thing is correct, but I got a lot of issues with it. And I wasn't really going to go down that path, but I'm just going to sum it up like this. That for me, there's no vengeful God. There's no wrathful God. There's just a loving God. And anything that's speaking of wrath is speaking of something that is a God posing and pretending to be the source God, which is just love. I think you could take the entire Bible, have one page and one word on it, and it should just be love. And there's no mistaking that. You can't misinterpret that. The rest, okay, what we've got, only a couple women featured in there, and one was she was too old to have a baby, and yet she did, and yes, we know the Mother Mary, and there are a couple sprinkled in there, but really, that's kind of it for influential women. I could go on, but that's not what this show is about, and this isn't about a men-women issue. It's just about what's been done to an incredibly beautiful source of material meant to unify people in love and harmony, and it was distorted. All right, so anyway, but I'm going to keep moving along. Even if you share a different opinion on that, I'm not here to create rifts. I'm just here to present the evidence of what I'm seeing by enhancing and analyzing photos. And the digital technology is so great now that, you know, the photo and light sensitivity of it can, you know, read deeper than what we can with the physical eyes. Even if we sense, like I could sense a discoloration, you'll see it too in this footage or in some of these stills. But this camera, you know, the camera and whatever digital technology really help us break it down. Even though I always say it's a blessing and a curse with the digital technology, I'm not really a huge fan, but of course we do need it for certain things, and it can be very helpful. Okay, so now I'm going to move along. All right, so this was the cover from my show number 188, and I did release it the day after, you know, on the 10th. The Masters was on the 9th on Easter Sunday. And yes, you absolutely could see this. And, you know, when I put the enhancement on it, you can see other things happening in the background. Now, in the show itself on this, I was kind of focusing on these things. They look like machinery to me and end of pipes that, like, they could have been, you know, they've got structure. They're really like straight lines here and here and here. You know, go look at the other show if you want to see more detail. And I thought at first that those were maybe mechanisms for shooting out some of the cloaking material, like over here. It's really dense with cloaking material. But the more I look at it, again, I always say, like, the more you look, the more you see with these images. Coming back fresh now and looking at this on a bigger screen as I record this show on a laptop-sized screen, I'm seeing now another planetary body here. You know, if you follow my cursor, that round, there's a clear round line, and it looks like individual craters here as well. I believe there might be one back in here, and there might be one hiding back in here. You're going to see why I'm saying this. If you stick with this show coming up, you're going to see what I'm going to present. This to me now is looking like very clearly like another body, and, you know, it's happening beyond. Obviously, it's not right next to this one. It's stepped back further. So I also want to repeat what I had said in this show too. There's no fear with any of this, and I'm saying it's okay, they're there. We're supposed to be able to see these right now. This is the time of the great revelation, if you want to go biblical, And if you want to go Hopi and prophecies, we're supposed to see these things so that we know a positive change is coming for the planet. Yes, some things might get tripped here and there. Expansion of the earth. The earth is a sentient being in my point of view. It's stretching and growing, and it wants to ascend and get into a higher vibration. The ones that people that want to stay in the higher vibration and inherit a beautiful earth without murder and killings and other horrible things, that's what you're going to see. If you're someone who loves the drama and addicted to all the negativity and you want to keep it that kind of planet, that's what you're going to get. But whatever happens, if there is, this can also be called like the Purifier, is going to be a time supposedly where there's kind of like a wave of light that comes over the earth and everything, is lifted to a better, more loving state. And those that want to stay with that, will stay. You'll be kind of shielded in a light frequency that matches that. You're not going to be harmed. The others that don't want to stay, they're not going to be harmed either. They'll be put in a state of stasis or also protected, but just kind of shipped off to where they need to go, because a more loving earth cannot coexist with negativity. Apparently, we're going to be able to just think of something and instantly it's there, so you can't have negative forces and negative thoughts. So there's a natural separation. To me, it makes total sense. I'm going to cover something in a minute and direct you to a couple of YouTube channels that explain what I just said a little bit better if it wasn't cohesive or clear. And also just it elaborates, and it totally is in line with my thinking. And you might not have heard some of these perspectives before, and you can listen to them and pick and choose what works for you or clicks with you, or toss it out completely. Anyway, but I'm here to educate and bring it up to people's attention for those who want to look further. Okay? Otherwise, just click on. No big deal. I personally do not care. It's just that you will know if it's meant for you, whatever I'm saying here today. All right, so I do see, if you look with me though, it's a very clear curvature here. So sometimes when we see this camouflage, like I call it, camouflage, it might be chemical field trails doing this, but I've seen too many little machines and planes and craft that just pump this stuff out local. And so that's when it gets real thick and blanketed. That's not coming necessarily just from craft, airplanes or orbs. There's stuff there that just sits there local, pumping this crap out, so we can't see stuff. And right now, it looks like it's kind of forming a ring around the perimeter, or kind of hugging a spherical element. It's not covering it, and that's why we can see it. So, okay, I'm going to keep going. Anyway, but if you've heard some hype about what's going on with this Masters footage, Augusta, Georgia, go see my show, 188, if you haven't seen it already. And again, if you're new or returning, I greet you all, and I appreciate you being here. And thank you to, especially if you've been here more than once, looking at some of my material. You are so appreciated. Okay, so here we go. So this was the view. I am going to just, move into the show a tiny bit. I think just 2 slides here. So, that's the enhanced version I did, and this is the original off of the TV that I took. So you can see the frame. It's a little splayed because I walked up to the 80-inch TV, turned off all the lights in the room, and took this photo. Now, you'll see these lines. That's not HARP or any kind of crazy technology. That's just kind of the wavelengths coming off of, I guess, my camera and interfacing with the ones coming off the TV, making those striations. But even so, you can still see this, plain as day. And again, the kicker was that I saw it on an 80-inch screen TV. That's huge. So if it were on a tiny TV, I think I still would have seen it. But the fact that I could walk up and this thing was like the size of my head almost, makes a big difference in seeing even more. All right, I'm going to move along. So now this, contrary to that footage, this was in my own neighborhood, okay? So looking northeast at 7 p.m. And this happened on March 31st, ahead of the April 9th Masters Tournament. So already I was thinking, whoa, what's going on here? I know other people are familiar with the channel The Final Days. I forgot to mention her at the very beginning, too, to give her a big shout out. I don't know her name over there, but she has documented this off of the FAA cams. These big planetary bodies and various assorted planetary bodies coming in. So big shout out to her as well, to even tip me off that these things were existing and to look for them. So this was kind of an accidental. I found this body hiding And again, go look at 186 if you want to see the original photo. The particulate was so heavy. This was a fluke that I even found it because I started playing around on my phone doing the enhancements instead of waiting to go to a laptop and do the enhancements. And as I mentioned in that show, there's a big difference. So when you're documenting stuff out there, guys and girls, just be sure to maybe play across the devices, like I mentioned earlier, because it can make a big difference if you can find something like this. So there's no possible way it's a lens flare. I'm not even going to go over that. That's not even on the table. Go see the other show too. I explain why in detail. But look at this. We have a crater, some kind of opening. I wasn't sure if this is flying out of it or it happens to be in front of it and it's just an optical illusion. But we've got a huge body. Now, what I also do say, which bears repeating without your going to the show in case you don't go over there, is that if this truly were operating on the laws of, not physics, what do I want to say? If it truly was a matter of, if we were taught correctly, this would be, I wouldn't even be able to stand here and take the picture. If they're saying that, the magnetic forces and in this body and the one in the earth, are going to pull together and create catastrophe, well, that's not happening because I'm standing here taking the picture. It's not a hologram. I can take it, I can see it, and we're still fine. So what does that mean? That means either we've been told something absolutely wrong about the gravity and how it works on our planet, or how this other planetary bodies work, or this is a shell and there's not gravity like a typical planetary body, right? They toyed with this notion in the movie Moonfall. I reference that, yes, it's a cheesy movie, and there are partial truths in there, but there's also hint drops. So it either means that, it's some kind of hologram, but I tell you why it's not. Or this is like a shell of something, and inside there are inner workings that are mechanical, that aren't, operating on the principle of gravity. Or there's some kind of, maybe, I don't know, dwarf star or something in there that doesn't have the magnetism to it. I don't know. But the point is, there's no doom and gloom. There's no tidal wave. There's no earthquake right here. And this thing is huge, okay? And I'm making such a big deal about it now because when we look at the photos coming up, same thing. That thing's been sitting there forever. If you look at the Fife weather going way, way back, there's always a hint of this red body there, and we're still fine. So I just want to say, we don't know fully what the purpose of these are. Now, biblically, it's painting a gloom and doom picture. So do I believe that? No, because I already told you my belief is, the Bible's so distorted, they're going to, throw you off course. The ones who manipulated in the first place thrive on fear and angst and anger and doubt and confusion. So no, they're going to send you off in the wrong direction. We're fine. If anything, these could even be arcs or something that picks people up. I know people joking about a ship or whatever, but yeah, absolutely. Maybe they're just waiting until the big shift on the planet happens. Things get purified and cleaned up and more loving, and then some people go whisk away on these ships and others stay here and everything's good. So the reason why I'm saying that leads into something in 1 second. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself. So here's another thing I found looking at this fresh now, and based on what I'm going to show you coming up. I think I see another round object here with a crater at the top and one back here as well. So I'm just putting these circles because obviously we got the big one in the front. I couldn't trim these out. I don't have the tool for that right now. So just pretend you don't see this yellow and green part. So these would be in the back of this red one in the front, okay? So anyway, I think we might be able to even see beyond a few other extra bodies. Are they actually like this? I don't know. Stick around for the end of the show. I think I do more sketch overlays, and they're different sizes of all kinds of things happening, okay? So here's fifeweather.co.uk, and that's where you go if you want to check out more about Fife Weather and who they, I guess, send some of their footage to and all that good stuff. So again, millions of thanks to you good folks over at Fife Weather. All right, now this is getting back to a couple of channels to take a look at about what could happen when we have the big shift. And again, it's a different view than what you're gonna. It's no doom and gloom picture on my channel. No fear ever, and it's going to be contrary a little bit, probably a lot bit to the Bible, but also there's some parallels. So keep an open mind. Check them all out. Make decisions for yourself. What you think is going on. This one I highly recommend. Take a look at Allison Coe. I thought I had her YouTube channel listed here. So it's Allison, and then last name Coe. This one, before, during, and after the event, QHHT, client sessions from February 27th, 2018. She reads aloud some of her client sessions, their quantum healing hypnosis technique. Look at Dolores Cannon. She kind of was the pioneer for that. Her books I recommend are The 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth and The Custodians. You read those, you're going to get a really good picture of what's going on here. And then this further expands and just makes it all so like crystal clear of how peaceful of a transition all of this is going to be. Because I absolutely do believe there's a shift happening right now, and that shift is happening very soon, a bigger, more noticeable one. Now, Kerry K over here. This is from a day ago, and another one from 3 days ago I already featured in a previous show. The darkness before ascension is in keeping with this idea of what happens and why. And here it more parallels and crosses over what happens in the Bible a little bit. But, you know, as she says, you are here to embody your divinity like nobody else can. My job is to guide you there. So, yes, clearly I have a spiritual take on things, and that's okay too. So just take it all in. Toss out what doesn't work for you, but also keep an open mind, because maybe something helps formulate something that you're already working on as far as piecing together things that are going on in this world, okay? All right, so let's get to it now. We're finally at the 5 weather stills, and you're going to see down here, it shows the location, and so mainly we have, you know, a dark smudgy object. That's not something wrong with the lens. And if you've been watching this for years, every day for years, like I have, you know that it isn't. And even if you're just jumping in now, you will see that it's not that. So here we go. I can already tell there's a ton of particulate in the sky. This is a bird. I don't know if it's a seagull or what it is, but it's a bird on angle. So we're not going to worry about that when that shows up darker in the photos, okay? Here we go. I'm going through my enhancement progression. So all I'm doing is upping the levels of contrast, brightness, color, saturation, stuff like that. And I'm putting these little labels here, and they turned out more jumbo than I usually do. I don't know why. But anyway, I just ended up copying them, and I didn't realize it. It's okay. Anyway, I just put these in to bring your attention to where some key things might start happening, okay, during the progressions. So here we go. And I'm going to go back up to the top when I'm done so we can see everything better too. I'm starting to see there might be an object here with a hole in it, and also something back in here. Okay. Then I'm blowing it out and changing the color saturation to take away all the warm tones, just so we can see what we're dealing with. I often also make stuff black and white, because the eye to brain connection changes. When we take all color out, sometimes helps us see things in a new way. In this case, I make it monochromatic, I think it is, with the blue hues and cyan. But you can see there's an object there. You know, that's not a flare, that's an object. That's that bird, okay? All right, so now we're going back, and now I start to see an object down here. It looks like a craft. We've got a dark object with shadows on the lines and everything hovering here. You're going to see it really clearly at the last set of photos. So this is Kinghorn, I guess it's called, or Kinghorn, I don't know, Kinghorn. At the very end, I sprinkle a few different, I took stills at different timestamps along the way, I think 3, and I kind of sprinkled them throughout the show. So this one is one where I stopped it where the bird is, and then I stopped it at 2 other points where you're going to start to see this craft more clearly at the end, okay? But this looks like a huge wedge-shaped craft, and you're going to see it better later. All right, I'm still starting to see a lighter body with a crater right here, okay? And I start to see like divots and craters. And again, we'll see this probably better in other views and other scenes coming up. But we got this undeniable red object here with dark shadow behind it. And here we go, see? And again, this is an object over here because it's looking completely different. It's black, and you know, this has structure to it. It's got parallel lines, which clouds cannot do. Natural clouds anyway. There's stuff going on back here too. I want to mention that this could be that other planetary body with a crater, but it's not as clear as other examples. So I'm just going to fix more on, point out more what, you know, is clearer. Okay. So again, it's holding true. This object's looking a little more like an object over here in the lower right-hand corner, and it's massive. And here it's all pixelated and bitmappy. If you're on a bigger screen, just squint your eyes, you can see stuff a little bit better. If you're looking at it in a handheld device or like a thumbnail size, you'll see it a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, so now bear with me. I'm going to go old school way back to the beginning, and I'm just going to go through the progression a little more quickly. So Here we go. I'm going to flip through it quicker so you can see. Okay, now we're going to look at, oh goodness, I don't know, forgive me if I get the pronunciation wrong. I'm going to say Anstruther. And here we go. It's a little fuzzy, but you'll still get the idea. You'll get the gist, okay? So right now I just have letter A, so just kind of follow with me on the progression here. I'm not going to get into too much detail in this one, other than we start to see a reddish hue right here, okay? And it gets a little more red with the enhancements, and there we go. So that's where the planetary body is hiding. So a lot of people love to say, oh, how could you not see it if it's right there? You know, especially I love it with the golf tournament. Oh, if it were right there, people would have seen. No, you wouldn't, because here it is to the naked eye. You got to, move the filters to get through all the particulate crap to see the actual body, and there's even a crater there. So yes, you can see it, but also no, if you're, you got to be really trained to see it. Yes, you could have seen it on the fairway if you knew what you were looking for, but most people are completely oblivious, okay? And then also with just slight enhancement, it really pops out. So there. Okay, I'm going to go back one more time. So here we go, the progression, boom, boom, boom. Oh, and now that's just showing you where, more or less that body is, okay, with incredible veiling coming right over it, right? All right, now we're looking at Abrador. I hope that's right, Abrador. And already I can see something looks a little bit warm-toned. Again, it's only because I've been looking at this for years. If I just looked casually, didn't know what was going on, I wouldn't notice anything different. But now it's getting more and more obvious, even to people who aren't trained at looking at this. And there is a point where this veiling stuff, it's not going to work because the stuff's going to get so close, you won't, they can't hide it anymore with the veiling, okay? So here we go. We start to see more of that reddish tone, red-pink, and more red-pink. And we get these weird things moving in now. And some of these are objects, so huge cloaking craft. Why? Because they help create layers and layers in addition to the particulate to hide what's going on. So here we go. We start to see shadows of other objects in front of this other red object. Again, proving not a lens flare. And it can't even be a lens flare in this view because it's all muted out. There's no light source. All right, here we go. So darkness here, dark objects. Now what's interesting here is we got all this kind of red, pink, warm color, undeniable warm color, right? And over here it's kind of bluish. So what I'm going to say is we've got a red body here and we've got a bluish one here. For anybody savvy who knows the Hopi Prophecy and all the bit about the Red Kachina and the Blue Kachina, and China means spirit, dancing in the Great Plaza, there's a whole story behind it. Well, could this be the Red Kachina and that the Blue Kachina back there? Absolutely, why not? Is it for sure? No, I don't know. It could be. So again, do your own research and see what you think is going on. I'll show you a little bit better what I'm talking about in a second. So here's all this massive red and there's some blue. There's also gray in here, so I don't know if there's yet again another huge, planetary body even behind this. That I'm not sure. But it looks like it might because it's hiding the blue, which looks like another body beyond it. And hang on with me at the very end of the show. That becomes clear. I do some sketch overlays on those two things I just showed you. Okay, so here we have fourth. And they just, this is all bitmappy at the bottom because I think they did it for privacy so you didn't see cars coming and going. But here we go. Again, to an untrained eye, if you haven't been looking at this for years maybe, you just say, what? It's just a hazy sky, that nothing's going on. Okay, really? Here we go. This one's going to take a little more work to unpeel the layers of all the particulate, but we're going to get there. So here I already start to see something warm, like a warmish red tone. There's a green, blue, gray happening over here. And there's something happening here too, and something happening over here. I know it's really hard to see, so let's do this a little bit more. Now this line is a little more defined as an object. Something different happening here if you look at the color. The warm and cool tones across this whole thing, even though it's bitmappy. You see stuff happening. Look how heavy this blanket of particulate is to hide this entire scene. Some buddies, not just somebody, some bodies, are working real hard to cover this whole thing up. Why? Well, here we go with even more enhancement. We'll see a roundish body here. It's reddish orange. I think there might be a giant body in behind that, this magenta, but I'm not sure. Could also just be a bunch of little other planetary bodies. But clearly we have red-orange here, we have green-gray here, and we have blue-blue here, with purple. There's a lot of different things happening here in this one scene. And look at, you can even see it down at the rim, you know, that it's carrying through. Different things, different bodies, different sizes and shapes are going on all that veiled scene. Here is where I think a bunch of them could be happening. So this could be two smaller bodies with, or, you know, with bigger bodies beyond them. Or, you know, it could be just these two mid-sized bodies or one bigger one behind. It could be all of them for all I know. But I'm just letting you know there's a lot more than meets the eye. So even though we're picking this apart with different color signatures, again, we can't know for sure because it's so heavily veiled. But I think the day is coming very soon where it's going to be very clear. You don't have to guess anymore. And going back to my recommendation to go see Dolores Cannon's books, The 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth and The Custodians, is a separate book. But that starts to pull the picture all together of why all of this is happening right now. Okay, let's move on. It could also just be this. So I was saying, oh, it could be all of that. Well, you know what? It could also just be this one here and this one here. And you're going to see why I say that in 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. If I hop off, it's just to clear my voice. So here, it could also just be these two, okay? And if so, we get into this situation again where I was referencing it earlier, where we have a red, red, orange color signature and a blue here, right? And maybe it's these two are objects, and then this is a really big magenta one beyond, or it's just these two, or it's just this one. Again, we're going to know more soon. But I find it uncanny that we've got all this reddish magenta color and then it splits off into just blue. So something's reflecting and happening on some kind of a level we can't see completely yet. Another interesting thing is with an ascension or a collective consciousness wanting to rise and become a more loving earth, different people, they call them light workers. I don't like the term worker. It just could be a light bringer. I like that, an uplifter. People here to anchor this planet right now with some positive light. Those people or other people out of nowhere, you'll get activated and you'll start to like see better, and you're going to start to see this stuff even more clearly, even with all the veiling particulate there. Hasn't happened to me yet. I noticed my hearing has really improved somehow out of nowhere. I got activated. But sight might also get activated. You wake up one morning and you look up and you're like, oh, I see that and that, right? That's very possible. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. All right, we're back to Kinghorn or Kinghorn. And again, this isn't just kind of a smudge and somebody, you know, didn't do the camera right. No, here we go. Look at letter A especially. You know, we're going to go through this progression. I'm going to go through rather quickly because this one's pretty obvious. There's a ball sitting there. There we go. Okay. Black and white so you can see it too. Floating up here. And this one's pretty cool. That red line is where I think there's a crater. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Now that you know what you're looking at, maybe. See, that little thing is like a crater there. You know what? It'll show up better, the crater, in I think the last few slides. So here we go. We got a ball we got like dark points in it. To me, those are the craters. Much like, yes, what you see in the final days on her coverage and her footage. You absolutely see this. So here we go. Here it's just so intensely veiled, okay? So here we go. Bam. Oops, I jumped a little too fast. Okay. All right. Now we've got St. Andrews, a legendary place. With St. Andrews, ironically, golf course, right? Because some of my biggest footage found was at the Augusta in Georgia at a Masters. So here we go, St. Andrews. Again, to an untrained eye, you're just like, what? That's just a hazy sky. I would see a planet. Well, do you? Do you right now? I don't, not really, without really, really looking. So here we go. Look at A and the question marks. Here we go. So it doesn't seem like much, although I see a dark, dark hole here. So that's part of a crater of something probably. Okay. We see something a little bit happening in here, because we're not talking just planetary bodies hiding in here. We're also talking cloaking craft. So here I'm moving in a little more. This one's the most challenging view to really look, because we're just dealing with subtleties of different hues changing in color. So we have a little bit of an olive drab moving into a little bit of a gray violet, a little darker blue purple down here, a little more gray tone. So this one's the hardest one actually to pick stuff out of. But I think if you squint your eyes, if you're looking at a bigger screen, you'll see it. And again, if you have a smaller thumbnail size or handheld device, you'll see it a little bit better when it's naturally smaller. Okay, so here is where I see stuff happening. If it's not so readily apparent to you, Again, this was a challenge even for me to pull stuff out, but kind of the more you look at these things, the more you find stuff. Or if you walk away and then come back and pull it up on the screen, you might see something new. So here, I start to see a crater here and a circle around it. And again, in the show coming up, you'll see why I'm saying this, okay? But these are really well hidden, because over here's that olive green territory, and here's the more gray, over here's the more blue. All right, but it's massive hiding of this stuff, like thick particulate, okay? Here's just going extreme with the color saturation and contrast. So you see that territory I was calling olive drab green, yeah, bam, it's popping out lime bright green, while this is going all blue, right? So different things are happening in here. If this were all homogeneous, all just like clouds moving along, we wouldn't have these radical color differences. Again, that's where I was seeing a clear round object with a crater in there, and that's what I'm seeing. As always, I say, what do you see? This is just my interpretation. I can come back and look at these slides next week and see something totally different, like I already did at the front part of the show, looking at the master's slide again. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't see that before. There's another planet there, okay? That's how this stuff works. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness, is it Loch Jelly or Loch Gelly? I don't know. Somebody correct me if you'd like. Look at this. This is either some object or it's a really big pronounced crater, okay? And if it's a crater, it looks artificially made. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. Looks like another crater over here, just to my trained eye, but let's see what happens with the help of the digital enhancement. Here we go. We start to get a much better picture now. And this becomes very clear. You know, rim around it, shadow, whatever, more crater activity. It's getting red-pink. We've got stuff, weird stuff happening back in here and here, okay? Look at the horizon line. Look how low all of this is. And this city is still here. There are no tidal waves. So again, what we were told about gravity and polarization and magnetics, it's, you know, we can put a big hole in all those theories and start to look at it fresh again now. That's what I'm calling everybody to do, because we have not been told the truth. All right, otherwise, none of this would be here. Okay. It looks like another crater, possibly on another round object with something coming out of it over here. But let's keep looking with some enhancement. We see more of the red-pink color. Okay, maybe I start to see a clear circle here too. I also want to mention that some of this could be multi-layered dimensions. Okay, just to throw another, you know, mind expander out there. You know, what we consider solids, we could also re-examine. We might be seeing into different multiple layers of different dimensions. So some of these things at a certain point seem to kind of blend into one another. That could be that they're coexisting on different dimensions, and we're seeing through like several layers of glass that have different spots on them, you know, like different, got dirty outside, you know, in different ways, and we're looking through the, like 3 panes of glass. So we see one spot over here on one pane, the next pane deep, you know, there's a spot in another location, and they may appear to overlap, okay? That's what I start to see here. Because I don't think one is right here and right here. However, it is possible that this is behind and this is in the front. But be thinking of that too. We got to think 3-dimensionally, not just linear, okay? Not just 2D. Here we go. Here's where I see potential spheres, okay? Or, you know, where the blue circle, that's where the crater is. That could be one entire planetary body. There could be a bigger one, like I said earlier, all the way in the back. You know, here's the red one with all the little craters in the front. There could also be one back here. So the possibilities are endless until we actually, this also could just be a smaller one here with a crater, or this is a crater, part of a bigger thing. That's why I have all these circles. Whoops. Because it could be any number of possibilities, okay? All right, that's all I'll say about that. So then here, we're going to zoom in on this part where I've got the question marks, and look at that. That looks very rectilinear and like a rim around it with shadows going into it. There's some kind of indentation. And we get this huge spike up of all of this magenta color. So clearly there's some kind of reddish body happening right here, but it's so heavily veiled in particulate. Would you ever know it from the first slide? No. So now we do. Okay. So I'm going to go back and run through this a little quicker so you just see the whole progression without me like talking ad nauseum. Oh, hold on. I think did I already miss the beginning? Here, sorry. Here we go. I'm going to just run through this real quick. Here we go. So again, looks like, you know, something a little weird there, but I don't know. Well, let's see the progression. Okay. Now, another view or another moment in time on the same view of the Kinghorn. This is where I think we see that object that I was talking about at the beginning, a big cloaking craft, is going to become apparent right here. So I already see it a little bit reddish to the naked eye for once. That's what I'm saying. They're not the ones who are doing all this stuff, taking pains to hide all of these things in the sky, aren't going to be able to hide it anymore. And nor should they, because it's our divine right to see these things. And a lot of us on a, on a basic soul level, signed up to come to this planet is precisely for this moment to see the big quote-unquote show, which is these planetary bodies in the sky and all kinds of amazing things that are going to happen on this earth, okay? So here we go. I have A, B, and question marks. Here we are. Look at what a difference. Would you ever have imagined? Some of you are probably nodding your head yes, but for the most of us, I would say, would never expect this, okay? This is just one little progression step. And so here we clearly have black. This is not cloud. This is something a little more involved. But we have that reddish object, and we have something else here too, which is probably some kind of cloaking craft activity. Why do I say that? Because it holds true even when I blow out the brightness and everything. And if it were cloud, it would just turn to white background. So we got objects here. We also have structure that we'll see later. So anyway, we got this massive object. And some people say, yeah, why can't I see these planetary bodies and stuff? Not only because of all of the particulate and camouflage material, but sometimes a huge craft like this will just, park right in front of it, and then you don't see it, and it's all camouflage. So how would you, right? All right, so let's keep going. I'm lightening it up a little bit more, and where you find my cursor, this lighter tan color, that's like the what I call the camouflage material as plasma, just something heavier and denser than water vapor that clings to objects and helps hide them really well. And then you can see that in contrast to this big black or burnt umber dark object, which is something totally different than whatever all of this is, clearly, right? And then we got that red planetary body. Okay, why did I do this? Oh, I didn't do what I wanted to do here. All right, so we're going to move ahead. All right, so here is just sketch overlay, yet another possibility. The more I was looking at this reddish body and this craft, I started to see another round shape with a crater in it. And another one up here looks like a crater at the top. So it's also possible that these are two smaller little moons or planetoids traveling along with this overall cluster of planetary bodies. And again, look at my description box below to see why I'm saying that. All right, so this is just very rough. This white outline is what I think could be an overall huge craft. And it looks like something is flying over to it and docking into it maybe. There's a straight line here with shadow below. So this could be a single craft with a vapor trail behind it. But it looks like more than that. It looks like a craft with vapor trail and then yet another craft over here. But as always, see what you think. Another thing I'm going to point out is this could be a red planetary body or planetoid in front. And this, what looks like shadow, could also be another planetary body in its own right that's more brown with a hole and a crater in it. So I'm not sure if this is one thing or we're looking at one with another one beyond. We've got to be open to that possibility as well. All right, and here I'm just blowing things out exaggerated with color saturation and contrast so that we can really see where's the red part. And the more I look at this, the more I think there is a secondary of equal size, kind of planetary body right behind it. But again, that's all of this is up for speculation, okay? But here we have the black where it's true black. That's a huge craft. Look at that thing. It's all cloaked, moving in. At least that's my opinion. See what you see. All right, now I'm doing it all black and white here. Again, so you can just see overall shape. We got a lot of right angles and things going on in here that tell me this is an artificial object, whatever it is. And, jury's out on what the heck is going on here with our little reddish friend. See what you see and think this entire scene. It's bizarre. All right, so we're still at Kinghorn, and this particular frame I froze it on because we see some kind of dark object is on top of and in front of our red planetary body, and there's a lot going on all around behind it. So here we go, and look at that, completely different color. There's even like a dent, looks like a dish, like concave here, like a circle, like a pock mark. So I'm not sure what this is, but it's looking like a cloaking craft or something sitting on top of or in front of our view of this thing, this red body. And at this point, I'm going to say this red thing is artificial, some kind of artificial construct, or gosh, I don't know. Some people even call some of these things sentient beings. No idea. Jury's out on that a bit, but see what you think. My conclusion after going through everything that I've read and looked at over the past intensely, 4 years, I'm going to call that, I do lean toward that this is Wormwood Star. Wormwood Star. But this could also be a cluster of other planetary bodies moving in, and there's yet other stuff happening beyond them. I'm not sure, again, I'm just speculating here as well. But see what you see and think, and more importantly, see what you feel, with all of this. Feel into it. Okay, this is just a little more enhancement, and even more. And looking at it a different way, we still have, though, a chunk of reddish warm color. I don't know what's going on with it now. Look how bizarre. See what you think is going on in here. All right, I'm going to go back and move through this one more time. If I can get to, here we go. All right, so here's the progression again. I'm calling A the red planetary body, and B whatever this other object is. There's also looks like some objects floating in the back here too, which I'm going to call cloak and craft. And it's really weird, right where there might be a crater, it's kind of a goldish yellow. Anyway, here we go. Let's see the progression. Okay, well that's it for now. Thanks for connecting here a while. This is the photo of the day and the close of the show. I'm just showing and mixed in with my sky observations. I do spiritual readings, and this is just an example of one of them. So if that interests you and you haven't seen any, feel free to hop over there. There just might be a word, a color, a number, or a phrase that just kind of clicks with you in the moment that you hear it. It's all designed to come to you in great loving spirit, and hopefully bring something good to your day, or uplift you in some way, or inspire you. That's all. And otherwise, if that's not your cup of tea, we've got all the sky observations. And you know what? I'm feeling moved to go back to the very beginning. Don't look if you get motion sick. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. And I'm going to run through the whole show without saying a word, and then I'm just going to close. So I'm going to thank you in advance for being here. Thank you for doing all of your own observations out there. Do consider starting a YouTube channel if you haven't already, and post what you see on the daily and share with everyone. And regardless, like I say always, I wish everyone tremendous peace and love. And here we go. We're going to just watch the whole thing if you like. Here we go. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Love your Sky Panther. Bye.